every year, 50,000 enlisted airmen think about becoming officers, but only 3,000 even apply and barely 450 are even selected. That's a 1.5% success rate from dream to reality. But in the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna show you what those 450 people did differently, and hopefully you can join them and become an officer one day yourself. So if you wanna go from enlisted to officer, let me tell you something the Air Force doesn't put in a pamphlet. It's not just about checking boxes, because even if you have the degree, the AFOQT score, the package, you got people vouching for you, you may still get passed over. Meanwhile, someone else, maybe younger, less experienced, they just got picked up and locked in their dream job. Why? Because the system has layers and not all paths are treated equally. So in this video, I'm breaking down every single path from enlisted to officer across active duty, guard, reserve, in the Air Force. I'll tell you who gets the best jobs, why civilians are selected more often, and how to beat the odds even when the deck feels like it's stacked against you. So I'm gonna start with the full picture. If you're enlisted and you already have a degree, OTS, Officer Training School, is probably gonna be a good route for you. It's 9 weeks long, it's at Maxwell, you finish it, you're gonna be a second lieutenant. For the Guard and Reserve, they also go to OTS, but you apply locally within your own unit. It's a little less competitive, but it's also more personal because they wanna make sure that the people they're hiring to be their leaders, they actually want them to lead that unit. If you still need a degree, there's a couple of different programs that the Air Force has that can help you get that degree and line you up to become an officer. I'm gonna talk about these briefly real quick, but if you stay with the video, we're gonna go full in depth as the video continues. You got the LEAD program. This allows you to go to the U.S. Air Force Academy, get your degree, come back in as an officer. And then you have the Select P. This is when you get selected by a general who says that they want you to become an officer. They allow you to finish your school while staying active duty. And then you also have the NECP, the IPAP, the FLEP, the EMDP2, all of these different things, medical, legal, pre-med pass for you to complete your school while you're keeping a uniform, still getting paid, still getting your time towards service. Like I said, we're gonna break down each of these later, but each of these paths, they have their strength, but they're not treated equally when it comes to getting selected. So let me explain. So the Air Force, they fill their officer career fields in priority order. The Air Force Academy, they're the first pick. That is the Air Force's cream of the crop. They're gonna make sure that they get first pick, first priority when it comes to job. Then you have the ROTC graduates. This is second in line. Then you have the OTS selectees, and they're last in line when it comes into how the Air Force prioritizes its officers. So the OTS applicants, even the best ones, often get what's left over after the academy, after the ROTC grads have been matched to their job. That's why intel, cyber, contracting, and acquisitions are more common amongst OTS assignment. But the rated positions like pilots, CSOs, the RPAs, they can be more open, but unless your degree perfectly matches a critical career field or you're already a standout prior enlisted leader, you're probably gonna fall into the leftover pool. Here's a reality check. 65 to 75% of the OTS selectees are civilians. 25 to 35% are prior enlisted from active duty, guard, reserve, even the other branches that join the Air Force as an officer. And that's not because civilians are better, it's because there are way more of them applying. So some of the boards have 80% of civilian applicants. So even if your chances per person are higher as prior enlisted, they just outnumber you. The Air Force also prioritizes fresh accessions to keep force balanced. Civilians with clean records, fresh degrees, and fewer policy entanglements make that easy. So don't take it personal. You just got to understand that. So like I said, we're going to get deep into all of the programs. Right now, we're going to look at OTS. If you already got a degree and you want to become an officer, OTS is a good path. They have a 15% overall acceptance rate of enlisted people trying to get in, 13% for enlisted non-rated jobs, and 44% for rated jobs. That's like your pilot, your CSO, your RPA. There's a good chance of getting a rated job coming from enlist. Like I said earlier, OTS is the last to select jobs, last in career field priority, and the most flooded with applicants. But it's still the fastest route if you got a degree and you're ready now. So who gets in? The average person who gets in holds a rank of E6. Their time in service is about 8.5 years. Their GPA is about 3.5, and they score on the AFOQT between 60 to 70. Most successful applicants apply 2 to 3 times before they're accepted. So if you want to max out your chances or beat the odds of becoming an officer or getting selected into OTS, you want to max the AFOQT, especially for the rated positions. Your personal statement has to be strong. It wants to show the transformation, the grit, the leadership that you have. You want crazy crazy glowing letters of recommendations. This airman is made to lead. This airman is hardworking, that kind of stuff. You also want to have a killer resume that shows impact, growth, responsibility, leadership. All of that stuff needs to be on there, the whole airman concept. For the Guard and Reserve, you got the local advantage. You can apply locally for officer positions in your own unit. Like I said earlier, it's like applying for a job. You interview, you get picked, you go to OTS. There's no central board, there's no national competition like it is in active duty. If they have a slot, you're qualified, and they feel like you're the person to put in that position, your odds skyrocket. And I've even seen people transfer to the Guard or to the Reserve to commission that way, then try to go back active duty later once they get their commission. So now we're gonna focus on some of the ROTC programs. Remember, if you don't have your degree yet, don't stress. You got time, you got options. Air Force ROTC is a path to let you go to college full-time. You get to train as a cadet, and you come back wearing gold bars instead of your stripe. There's several programs specifically built for enlisted members. I'm gonna break them down. Number one, you got the Airman Scholarship and Commissioning Program, the ASCP. This allows you to separate from active duty. You attend college full-time. I think they give you about $18,000 a year in tuition. They give you textbook money and a monthly stipend. You gotta have a 2.5 GPA minimum and be accepted into a college with an Air Force ROTC detachment. The acceptance rate for this is about 20 to 30% depending on the board. It's best for airmen with a solid GPA, those who have few dependents and they know they can sacrifice a couple years to get their education and come back in as an officer. Then you have the scholarships for outstanding airmen to ROTC. This is more selective than the ASCP. They give you up to 3.5 years of full scholarship funding for your tuition, your book, stipend, all of that. This requires commander nomination though, and it's intended for the top 10% formers. The acceptance rate is 10 to 15% of people who apply, and this is best for truly standout airmen. If you win a lot of awards, if you outperform your peers, if you have command level support, this is probably the fast track to full college funding and a commission. You also have the Professional Officer Course Early Release Program. This one allows early separation from active duty up to 2 years early for you to finish your degree through the ROTC. This doesn't have tuition assistance. Instead, you use your GI Bill or any other benefits that you have to complete school. This is ideal for people who've already been accepted into a ROTC detachment and close to graduation. The acceptance rates for this is generally high. If you get accepted into the school and you get your commander's approval to separate early, this one is pretty good. It's best for airmen within 2 years of graduating who don't qualify for scholarships but want a clear commissioning route. It's kind of like a green light for you to go full-time as a student without waiting for your enlistment to finish. This is why it's still worth it. Even though you're using your GI Bill, you get to separate a little bit sooner, go finish that education. It keeps you in that commissioning ecosystem, and it gives you that Air Force ROTC priority system when it comes to job selection. This is why you should consider ROTC. It's less competitive than the OTS boards. You get 2 to 4 years to lead, like as a cadet, grow, build your network. The ROTC, their grads are prioritized for officer jobs over OTS right after the academy, and you get time to mature in your leadership, not like OTS where they give you 9 weeks. You get a pretty good amount of time to mature in your leadership. The trade-offs are you will need to separate from your branch and go complete school. So that means you're losing your active duty time, your time in service and your benefit, and you must go to a school with an Air Force ROTC detachment. Not all universities have one. Then you have the academy. They have a program called the LEAD program, and this is for airmen who are under 23 years old, you're unmarried, you got no dependent. The LEAD program lets those enlisted members apply to the Air Force Academy. This is how it works. They make you go to a prep school first. You're not really accepted into the academy, you're accepted into the prep school. 75 to 80% of those people who go to that prep school are then accepted into the academy. So you get to graduate debt-free, you get the world-class education of the academy, and it's a shoo-in for an officer position upon graduation. It's really rare to get accepted into the LEAD program, but if you qualify and your commanders show support, that's a game changer. Next, we're gonna cover some of the medical ways and some of the legal tracks that you can do to become an officer. So if you're in healthcare or you're in the legal world, the Air Force doesn't just support your goals, it funds them while keeping you in uniform. So let's break that down real quick. So you have the Nurse Enlisted Commissioning Program. This allows enlisted airmen to separate temporarily, earn a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, a BSN, full-time, and return to active duty as an officer in the Nurse Corps. The requirements for this one is you must have completed all the prerequisites to get accepted into the program. You got to have 59 plus college credits towards nursing. You got to have a GPA of a 2.5. They really want a 3.4 or more, but they say a minimum of 2.5. You got to attend a NLNAC or a CCNE accredited nursing school. The oldest you can be is 42 years old. They're going to give you full tuition books. You're still getting paid as a staff sergeant. You're still getting your BAH, your BAS while you're in school. You still got your uniform and you still get your time in service. You got to be able to pass the NCLEX, the NCLEX upon graduation. Acceptance rate for this is 50 to 55% in the recent years. 180 to 200 applicants apply annually for this, and a lot of them get accepted. So this is best for medically inclined airmen with strong academics who want full funding and direct re-entry into active duty as a registered nurse with O1 rank. Then you have the IPAP or the Inter Service Physician Assistance Program, and this earns you a master's in physician assistant studies through a 29-month program. You stay active duty just like you did with the NECP, and you get commissioned as a first lieutenant upon graduation. The requirements for this one, you got to have 60 plus college credits with science focus. You got to have a GPA minimum of 3.0, same thing as NECP. 3.5 is recommended. A GRE is required. You got to have at least 3 years time in military service before you can apply. You need some strong letters of recommendation. As far as the funding for it, you're going to remain on active duty, so you get all your active duty benefits still. Your salary, your benefits, everything's uninterrupted. The acceptance rate for this is about 25 to 30%, and 250, 300 applicants apply every year. But this is a pretty good program. This is best for enlisted medic, dental, or aerospace technicians looking to become mid-level providers without debt. Next, we have the FLEP or the Funded Legal Education Program. This one, the Air Force pays for your law school while you remain on active duty and then commission you into the Judge Advocate General Corps, the JAG. The requirements for this one is you must already have a bachelor's degree. You got to complete the LSAT and you got to score 160 or higher. You got to have a high GPA, probably like a 3.5 or higher. You want at least 2 years time in service in the military, and you got to be under 6 years at the time of when your law school starts. You must get accepted into an ABA accredited law school of your own. As far as funding, they're going to fund your full tuition. You still get the active duty pay, all the benefits uninterrupted, and you're going to owe the Air Force a 6-year commitment once you graduate. The acceptance rate for this is 5 to 10%. They got about 10 to 15 slots per year. This is best for high-performing enlisted airmen who want to do something with their law degree and work for JAG. Then you have the Enlisted to Medical Degree Preparatory Program. This is a 2-year pre-med program at the Uniformed Services University. This sets you up to apply to medical school while staying active duty. The requirements for this one, they say you got to have a bachelor's degree. STEM science, heavy coursework, a GPA of a 3.2 is strongly recommended. A competitive MCAT is not required at the entry. Strong research or science background helps as well. As far as the funding, what they fund, you stay on active duty, you get all your benefits, all your pay. Program pays for your tuition, your housing, your books, all of that stuff. But you have to apply to med school at completion of this. The acceptance rate for this is 13 to 17%. They get about 500 applicants. About 60% of them are selected a year. This is best for enlisted airmen who dream of becoming doctors, especially those needing additional science prep before applying to med school. Then you have the SLEC P, and this is the General's Golden Ticket. You can't apply. You got to be chosen for this one. Somebody's going to notice you and say, hey, I want you to do the SLEC P. They got a SLEC P Alpha and they got a SLEC P Oscar, SLEC P O. Only about 17 enlisted airmen per year are even selected for this. So if you want to be one of them, you got to win like base level awards. You got to take on all the hardest problems. You got to build trust with the senior leaders. You got to show elite leadership without the rank, like be performing at a high level of leadership, no matter what rank you are. When generals go out looking for their next officer, be the name that comes up. I don't know anybody who's ever been picked up for this program, so I'm assuming it's a pretty rare program. All right, so regardless of your path, this is how you become undeniable. 1, you want to pick your path early. Which route are you going to take? 2, you want to finish your degree or get in a program that gets you there. 3, you want to be able to ace those tests, the AFOQT, the PCSM, the LSAT, all that stuff. You want to show leadership impact, not just on your duties. You want to get mentorship from officers who've been there, and you want to craft your story. They're not just hiring rank, they're hiring people whose stories they love and they feel like they would be great officers. So the gap between enlisted to officer is not intelligence, it's not effort, it's not passion, it's structure, timing, and policy. But once you understand that, you can move different, you can move your way up and hopefully become one of the ones that get selected. So whether you go OTS, ROTC, NECP, Select P, it doesn't matter. The outcome is always the same. Get gold bars on your chest. I know this was a lot of information, but hopefully you soak some of it up if you're thinking about becoming an officer for the Air Force. As far as Space Force goes, I don't know if these programs work, but if you are interested in hearing about how the Space Force has one of the hardest PT standards in the DoD right now, I got a video on the screen right now breaking that down. But like I always say, I hope this video brought value to you. Stay beautiful, stay classy, and until next time, check me out.